great to see you guys. I love doing these webinars. I'm very thankful to Asclepion because years ago when I was just starting out in practice in Beverly Hills and I didn't have my celebrity clients, I was looking for great technologies to use because I wanted to be one of those, greatest laser doctors in the world. And my goal was to offer the best combination treatments. And I went to Asclepion and I said, I'm a young doctor. You need to get all your devices in my office because I'm going to be, big on social media. At the time, we just started doing a lot of advertising and marketing on Instagram and on YouTube. And I really wanted the best technology. I had done a significant amount of laser hair removal clinical research when I was a fellow using pretty much every device, all the way from initially IPL and diode lasers, Alex lasers, YAG lasers. I mean, I was my initial usage of the device, and then we did it on our patients for studies. Can't tell you the number of times I burned myself or caused hyperpigmentation because of poor cooling or bad contact. The treatments would take, I mean, I was a hairy beast and I would have to do my entire chest and stomach and back, and that could take hours to do. And then when I got the MeDioStar and the XL handpiece, and we could do a back in about 3 or 4 minutes, I mean, it was unbelievable. So, and then also from the course of doing all these trials, in my experience, the majority of improvement came from me doing a diode technology. Obviously, I love simultaneous wavelength, like adding in the 940 for deeper penetration or focusing on vascular. But the diode technology is really characteristic, in my opinion, on some of the most long-term beneficial results, plus being very versatile and using on almost every skin type. So I had, the MeDioStar Next about 2016, and that was a huge gap. That was a huge advancement. And I'll show you guys, these videos that Asclepion produced, I think were really good. I mean, look, you can do an entire area, and I'm going to show you this in a very short time period. I mean, here's the XL, extremely large, nice cooling tip, touchscreen, which we didn't have before, and the ability to go into a smooth pulse mode, which here, I mean, you're basically doing really quick, fast bursts of pulses, low energy, high frequency, able to do multiple passes so that you can, stimulate heat at the deep end of the hair follicle without burning the surface of the skin. And it was just amazing. I mean, look, in just a couple minutes, you could do a full back. And I'll show you an example of that here. Quick. So in 1999, you have the first, the next coming out, 810 wavelength, many years of experience, and the new, and the thing is, again, high power, high speed. The newer device is going to be even more high power, even better speed, better contact cooling, better trolley, better digital display, and the ability to have simultaneous wavelength functioning. And then I'm also to talk to you guys about the other hand pieces. Wireless foot switch is amazing, and ergonomic hand pieces is amazing. So of all the devices that are out there, the other thing I was going to say is, to me, having the versatility. So here you have your Alex handpiece, which I think is unbelievable wavelength to use, especially when you know how to do it. You could do, stacked pulses, or you could do, if we zoom forward, you could see again in that smooth pulse mode, going very quickly, being able to do linear passes or circular passes relatively quickly. I mean, I did, I think, 3 treatments in my underarms or 4, and almost all the hair is gone in that area. I love it. It was probably one of the best things I did for that. So you guys know, the science of hair removal. Obviously, as the skin type increases, and I do have experience actually using diode on type 6, although I would say be very careful. I have an article I published in, I can't remember what journal it was, in about 2015 or 16, on doing types 5 and 6 diode laser of the face. I have a lot of football players that come to me with pseudofolliculitis barbae, a lot of acne on the face, which I'll show you some pictures. I think I have some pictures of that, where we literally would just remove the hairs of those areas. And at that time, obviously couldn't use IPL, and there really wasn't a great Alex laser to use at the time anyways. So we would typically go towards doing diode at low, very, very low fluences. And you know also that different parts of the body require different levels of experience, as well as how high you go in frequency. So that's what's great about the predetermined settings on these devices, because not only now can you set a location and a skin type, but you can also set how coarse the hair is, how much the density is, so that it can change the fluences and the hertz. And again, on average, you know, when someone's a darker skin type, you're not changing the energy too much each time, but when they're a lighter skin type, you go a little bit more. So to get, what I wanted to show you here is the traditional diode, but I want you to see, you know, on areas like the leg, for example, in smooth pulse mode, you can go really fast. I mean, take a look at how easy it is. This is probably my favorite handpiece of all. I mean, I against probably all the training that the company does, I've probably done so many passes of this in altered settings in so many ways as we go, because the hair responds very quickly, and then you get an improvement, and you need to keep increasing as you go to keep getting even better improvement. The other is the circular motion technique, which is probably one of my favorite, especially in rounded areas like the calves, the sides, the ankle. It just gives such a really good improvement. And one of my favorite videos that's out there, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, is when there was a comparison between the Asclepion device and the Gentolaze. Now, when I was in my fellowships, we used a lot of Gentolaze. It reminds me of like a drummer, you know, hitting the drum, because every time there's a poof because of the cryo. And, you know, it has a larger handpiece, and at the time it was great. But if we take a look at the comparison, you know, good device, you know, good technology, but in smooth pulse mode with our device, I mean, there is really no comparison. It's so much more advanced. It's like, you know, an iPhone 4 versus the new iPhone 10. You know, you can't really compare. In such a short time period, not only are you getting the coverage of the area, but the high frequency allows for I had to say, like a super amount of heating at the deeper levels of the hair follicle. It's not just a shock, it's like building up heat. So for example, when you run a marathon, you know, you could see marathon runners are very lean. They consistently running, they lose more weight. If you just shock the hair follicle, yeah, you might lose it, but has a potential to regrow back if you don't really kill the hair follicle. In this case, as we build the energy up with these multiple passes in the lower amount of fluences, but coverage passes being much higher, you actually get super passes with deep energy. And look, minutes it takes, and even that's a fast person to be able to do it, to be able to compare. So examples of pseudofolliculitis improvement in darker skin type, and you can see there's a discrete line as to where the improvement is. You could see the reduction there in the armpits, on legs, full face. Like I said, I have a lot of athletes. I have a lot of drag queens. We're in Hollywood. I have a lot of women that have PCOS, or they're just going through menopause. They have hair changes. My Asian clients. I love hair removal in the armpit. I think it's one of the best results that you can get with a diode laser. Same thing in women with hormonal issues. So example, if somebody's on hormones, you know, you may not be able to fully get rid of the follicles, but we can still improve it. Same thing on darker skin type. So, you know, the key is when you first start, I always tell people, don't just go straight towards the dynamic and, you know, these circular motions or linear motions, and, you know, take a little bit of doing just static point by point or glide in the first treatment or two. Make sure the patient's heals well. You know, sometimes with laser hair removal, unless you see a flash of darkening or extreme erythema, you don't know for sure was there any problem that you caused? If you're in the treatment parameters, you should be fine. But if somebody's tan or you know, certain medications, let's say. So in general, especially on the face, you go pretty easy. Larger body areas, even in the first treatment, if you're gonna go towards a dynamic, it might be better to do the linear method and test your first few passes with a point-by-point method and give it a few minutes to take a look at the spots before continuing on that fluence. So the future now for hair removal is the monolith device and hand pieces. Obviously, it's like the Ferrari, you guys. I mean, they've upgraded the look, the design, even the social media and animation. I'm impressed because this is the stuff my company produces, and I'm impressed at how good it's looking. I know that what's great, again, like I told you guys, is this combination of all the wavelengths. Energy has been almost doubled. Pulse durations at up to 400 milliseconds, allowing us to treat darker skin types. And then again, all these different hand pieces in various sizes. The cool thing about this, easily transportable. I have a office which I think it would be great one time to do, maybe once a year or twice a year, do a like a Sleeping on Users meeting in America. We could do it at my office. I have a huge office, 8,000 square feet, and down a huge hallway of 9 rooms. Originally I had wanted, like, you know, one laser to be specific to a room. The problem is we're doing so many treatments all the time. I need this thing to be able to be moved. The other thing is having dual hand pieces is unbelievable. A lot of flexibility and reduction in time. You know, and there's storage spaces and stuff like that for people that have smaller clinics. We keep all them, you know, in 1 or 2 main rooms, but we can move this easily. And they're going to now have a great cooling here and much more upgradable because the technology is so much more advanced. Large buttons for those that can't see as well. That's always me in the office because I have goggles, like 15 goggles hanging from my neck at all times. And it's just bright, pretty. Patients want to see that. They don't want to go into a rundown clinic. They want to see they see this, they think advanced. And it is. Look at the interface, right? You go from an area of selection and skin type, and that's typically where you would stop. But now, as we've advanced with years of using a device, when you have a device technology of almost 20 years, actually over 20 years, you can now start to really hone in on the energy settings. And it does make a difference what density somebody has and what thickness they have related to not only the fluence, but also the pulse width. And so what's great is it's just lighter. The tubing that holds the hand pieces longer and easier to move around. The other thing is the technology of Asclepion compared to most companies is this line right here. Homogeneous laser spot, and I'll show you guys a picture of that. And again, it's sapphire crystal cooling, which is very safe and reliable. And now the different handpiece designs being much more ergonomic, and just looking good. I mean, look at the difference. Look at how the handpiece is and how it holds. Much easier to fix and clean and take care of. So again, having these different devices, having the ability of going from a 1 centimeter all the way up to a 10 centimeter spot size. Although you'll laugh, my staff, I literally use a 10 centimeter on almost everything. I'm a little crazy. On face, I probably wouldn't do that, but pretty much almost everywhere. High amounts of energy, the ability to go to 400 milliseconds, dual wavelengths. And again, I showed you why the 940 wavelength is so good. And yeah, and then again, adding that Alex device for that lighter skin types, or those where the diode has either failed or stopped responding. We can go change it a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there in use of that. I like it a lot for the face and my light skin patients. The cooling of 360 degrees makes it very much almost painless. Typically, I don't like to use any numbing unless I'm in the genital area for patients if possible. And again, the majority of lasers having this areas of miss energy, whereas here it's all flat top and very homogeneous, so that it's reproducible and reliable when it comes to the delivery of the energy, and the risk of any burn is minimized.